2016 Honda HR-V AWD. Honda's Micro Ute strides confidently into a segment full of show-offs. The HR-V draws deeply on past and present. In many ways, it's a throwback to the best things 20th century Honda ever did, such as elegant interiors, sweet suspension tuning, and well-considered details. And then it goes all Kendrick Lamar pins butterflies for its powertrain, electronics, even its very concept. This Honda is merely the latest to join the growing ranks of 21st century micro utes. What exactly constitutes a crossover is elusive when shrunk to work size. Nissan's Juke is self-consciously quirky, the Chevrolet Trax is handsomely uncomplicated, Jeep's new Renegade mixes rugged heritage with adorable details. What exactly Fiat is doing with the 500X is interesting, and the upcoming Mazda CX-3 looks unpretentiously promising. But even if this is a messy newborn segment whose rules await discipline, the baby crossover is clearly the economy car of right now. The biggest kid in this space is the exceedingly precious Kia Soul, which sells about 10,000 units a month in the United States, doesn't offer four-wheel drive, and is marketed with anthropomorphic hamsters. In contrast, the HR-V proffers elegance, restrained interior and exterior design that doesn't court attention yet manages to be good-looking and substantial anyhow. Honda hadn't announced pricing for the HR-V as this was written, only promising that it would start under $20,000 and peak somewhere in the mid to high 20s for a loaded XL like our test vehicle. The HR-V should be on sale at dealerships as you read this. Based on the Fit platform and built alongside it at Honda's plant in Celaya, Mexico, the HR-V is conventional in most of its mechanical details. There are struts up front and a torsion beam in the back, and the engine sits transversely under the hood. Like the Fit, the HR-V cleverly tucks its fuel tank under the driver's seat, where it's surrounded by protective steel plating. The HR-V is, however, significantly larger than the Fit. At 102.8 inches, the wheelbase is 3.2 inches longer than its donors. And at 169.1 inches, it's 9.1 inches lengthier overall. It's also a bit more than 6 inches longer than a Soul Juke. But the HR-V is still more than 10 inches shorter than its big brother, the ludicrously popular CR-V. Larger dimensions lead to some additional heft. This four-wheel drive XL with leather and navigation weighed 3098 pounds, negative 465 pounds more than a Fit with a CR-V, which creates the need for some additional power. So the Fit's pokey engine, the 130 HP 1.5-liter DOHC4, was set aside in favor of Pokey Plus. That is, the 141 HP 1.8-liter SOHC4. While both engines feature 16 valves and Honda's signature IVDEC variable valve timing and lift system, only the Fit uses direct injection. And the HR-V's engine looks particularly wan in comparison with the turbocharged 1.6 in the Juke, which is rated at 188 horsepower. Honda's build quality is apparent even before opening the driver's door. The panels all fit tightly on this pre-production test car. The 17-inch wheels look expensive, and there's no orange peel in the paint. Honda surrounds the entire bottom edge of the HR-V in black plastic across the bumper covers, along the rockers, and around the wheel arches, making the vehicle look as if it's riding higher than it is. But the claimed 6.7 inches of unloaded ground clearance, 4.7 inches fully loaded, is modest. It's smart to just stay off the trails. What's best about the HR-V is inside, including elements such as the straightforward instrumentation grouped under a single binnacle. Simple shapes form the door panels, and the sweet, bright trim around the vents seems downright sophisticated. The seat cushions are short, but the leather covering them is soft and well stitched. After Honda's goofball adventures into awkward cabin designs, the Civic's two-tier dashboard, for example, the HR-V's restrained style counts as something of a return to form. Particularly appreciated is the large vent that runs across the dash in front of the right seat passenger. It's a true compliment to say it really blows. Problematically, though, most of the usual control buttons are missing in action. In their place is a touch-sensitive 5-inch LCD screen and touch-sensitive black panel for the ventilation system. Stylistically, it's sleekly Bauhaus. Practically, it makes trying to change the radio station while wearing gloves tough. redundant audio and navigation controls. Real switches on the nicely padded steering wheel are the driver's default controls. Why risk frustration by dealing with the touchscreen? There's still a real button to start the engine, and the 1.8 comes to life with an un-Honda-like listlessness. It's smooth and nearly vibration-free, but it doesn't have the eager-to-rev character that makes the best Honda 4 so beloved. Then again, this isn't an old accurate Integra or even an HRV-SI, so it's easy to move on in the spirit of forgiveness, with some hope intact. It's when the transmission is engaged that the HRV experience droops precipitously. A 6-speed manual is available on front-drive HRVs, but opting for 4-wheel drive means taking the automatic whether you want it or not. And the automatic is a CVT. Continuously variable transmissions make a lot of sense. They're mechanically simple and sometimes more efficient than geared automatics. The problem is that their operation can result in an awful sound. And that's particularly irritating when they're paired with low-torque engines that need to rev to deliver decent acceleration. The HRV's rated torque of just 127 pound-feet peaks at a relatively frantic 4,300 RPM. So with the CVT left in D, the engine scoots right up to that torque peak and then sits there droning like the salutatorian giving a junior high commencement address. It's irritating enough that you'd rather go back and repeat the 8th grade than listen to it. Worst of all, the CVT and the modest power output conspire to strangle acceleration. On full drone, the HRV slouched to 60 miles per hour in 9.5 seconds and completed the quarter mile in 17.4 seconds at 82 miles per hour. That's about the same performance as the slow Chevy Trax, but a Soul equipped with the 164 HP 2.0-liter engine and 6-speed automatic runs away from it. In compensation, the EPA rates the 4-wheel drive HRV at 27 miles per gallon in the city and 32 miles per gallon on the highway. In mixed driving, not including performance testing, C/D saw an impressive 35 miles per gallon. CVTs work best when mated to engines that produce more torque down low and in a wider band across their operating range. Compared with the HRV's tranny, the CVT in the turbocharged Juke, which receives 177 pound-feet of torque between 1600 and 5200 RPM, is a paragon of dignified athleticism. Fortunately, Honda does supply a workaround in the form of optional paddle shifters that cue transmission software with 7 virtual forward gears. With the shifter in S and using the paddles, it's possible to pretend that the HRV doesn't have a CVT at all. The shifts are quick if not firm, and the engine even develops a slight induction lilt that can be engaging. Honda does electric power steering well, and the HRV is no exception. The steering isn't particularly fast, but it communicates nicely and the HRV's suspension is tuned more stiffly than many competitors, so there's little body roll in corners without sacrificing much comfort. The 215/55 R17 Michelin Primacy MXV4 all-season tires are quiet and shed water like the Malamute sheds firm, but they lack tenacity, posting just 0.80 grams on the skid pad. And yet, as with the Fit, there's some dormant star power in this chassis waiting to be unleashed given the right rubber. Under hard braking, the HRV remains impressively flat for being in a class of vehicles notorious for noses that dive so hard that they get the bends coming back up. Even though the 70-0 stopping distance is modest, pedal feel is predictable. Everything a 21st century commuter needs is accounted for in the HRV. There are multiple USB ports, the available navigation system is intuitive, and the rear seat easily moves away to stretch out the generous cargo space. And, as with almost every current Honda, there's a camera beneath the right side mirror for scoping out the rear quarter traffic blind spot. When driven gingerly, with tender accelerator application and lots of gliding, a light encircling the speedometer glows green in praise of your environmental virtue. But there are 20th century virtues worth celebrating, too, such as having the courtesy to drive swiftly enough so that traffic doesn't stack up behind you and your glowing green halo. Such as the real enjoyment of a mechanical engagement between driver, gears, and car. Honda has recaptured many of its time-tested virtues with the HRV, but there are still some right ones out there ready to be picked.